So thank you very much. As mentioned, I'm going to present actually a work of a master student who looked at the possibility of tokenization of real estate in Austria. So what I first want to show is actually how this project came about. I've been dealing with blockchain for a long time, looking at the possibilities to use this kind of technology in the building life cycle. As you can see, one project was called BIM Design regarding the design phase. Then with our colleagues from Universität Bochum, we looked at the construction phase, and then also with our colleagues from TU Wien, we looked at the operational phase, meaning just to see how processes work and if we can, let's say, support them with blockchain and also building information modeling. And then in the last phase, we just finished the project regarding the end of life cycle. So yes, that's how actually this whole blockchain theme at least came up for me. And then we thought, okay, now let's move on to the area of tokenization. So what my student did is we actually had two research questions. What legal, technical, and economic factors must be considered in real estate project tokenization, and what are actually the advantages and disadvantages. We used for the method problem-centered in-depth expert interviews, but probably you know that there's a limited number of experts who have actually knowledge in this area, and it was very difficult for us to find those. So, but we managed to find 6 experts in tokenization, starting from those who are really real estate developers, then to financial experts, and also like legal experts who deal with this subject. So what are tokens? Tokens are dividing ownership and investment into arbitrary small digital shares. They have some value, they give you rights and obligations, similar to traditional forms of ownership. What is very interesting for me is that there's no generally valid legal definition of this term in either Europe or in the world. So you have the German law, bank law, which defines a token as a digitized asset to which a certain value is assigned or which enables a specific function. And there's also, of course, let's say now, certain movements in the EU regarding certain regulations like the markets in crypto assets regulation, where they try to introduce an EU-wide legal definition from different types of tokens. Already they have started in 2023. So asset tokenization would mean just the process of issuing a blockchain-based token, specifically a security token, that digitally represents a real tradable asset. There are certain kinds of standardization protocols like ERC20, ERC 14000, which enhance this interoperability across different kinds of platforms, or also the idea behind this is really to make it more tradable or functional over a number of countries or platforms. So tokenized real estate is actually when a real estate property or its cash flows are represented as a blockchain token or tokens. So when did it start? It started with a project in the US in 2018, where they decided to tokenize 18.9% of the property, and it helped them raise a certain amount of money, as you can see, 18 million. And they first, defined this security token offering, which made investors gain access to rental income and potential appreciation. So there's a definition now for security token. It's a digital representation of an investment product recorded on a distributed ledger subject to regulation under securities laws. So you can see there are a lot of use cases where tokenization might be implementable, starting from real estate development projects that I'm going to mention, then mortgages, then all other kinds of investment possibilities and so on regarding real estate. So, I mean, if you see the real estate development process is a pretty complex process. You start with an idea, then you have to have feasibility analysis regarding technical feasibility, economic feasibility, legal feasibility, and then you have to go through a lot of stages in order to have the final object, the building at the end, or some kind of infrastructure. And our thinking was, okay, when do we need to start with tokenization if we have a real estate project? Which means, as you can see here, actually, the earlier you start, the better, because of course you need investment for the project. But then you can also see at the end, it makes also sometimes sense when the object is there or the building is there as an asset to think about how to finance the further operational use of the asset. So, so what is the difference between this traditional ownership? You have a title deed, which is in relation to a certain asset. This tokenization ownership means actually fractional ownership. It allows you to have a fraction of the asset, as you can see. So you can also then divide here between narrow and broad definitions regarding the property ownership, which means on the left side, you see it's a narrow definition. It's a direct tokenization where you have really let's say, percentage of ownership of a certain asset. On the right-hand side, you see this broad definition where you have only a share, like let's say a loan, let's say a part ownership into a security or a loan or other kinds of rights. I must honestly say the direct tokenization is very rare. So it's usually actually having a part of ownership regarding returns or equity and so on. So the question would be, okay, what's the difference then between like crowdfunding and tokenization? If you take tokenized financing, it allows a speed of capital deployment after setup. It aims to avoid intermediaries, as we all know from blockchain technology, how it works. And it allows you to have some kind of high growth potential, which is also connected to more risk. And if you take like conventional crowdfunding loans, they are simpler, they are more predictable, they are more ideal for smaller businesses and so on. So it's like less risk with crowdfunding, more risk with tokenization. So there would be this on the left side is actually a display how this works. You have a real estate object or an asset, then you gain some revenue from that real estate, and then of course you can have some kind of special purpose vehicle which is established, which can also be connected to a platform where you have smart contracts which allow you then to receive certain return on investment in relation to what you have invested as a small token holder. So as you can see, it really allows you in this model, for example, to participate in the ownership of a share into an asset if you really have small transactions, for example. So results would be, when you look at, I'm just showing here at what parameters we looked regarding economic definitions, legal frameworks, and technical conditions. You can also read it in the paper, but when you look at economic constraints that you need to take account, you have, of course, initial costs regarding the asset itself. You have to think about how to divide it. You also have to think about then how to distribute the return, for example, and who is the target group. Then in the second, legal constraints would be what is a suitable token type, what is a tax implication, then what kind of duties you have to provide to the tax office and so on. And then in technical condition, you see, for example, timing of tokenization and so on. So I'm going a bit faster because I'm over my time, it seems. So potential advantages would be you can divide the real estate property into very small fractions. It's simply tradable. It allows you access to something that you would normally not have, for example. And on the other hand, of course, there are additional expenses. There's, of course, let's say, the whole system to think about, how to set it up, and so on. So what would be actually the two key factors which would be necessary in order to realize that you have to have some kind of demand for this fractional ownership, and you also have to have market confidence in blockchain technology, which is also an obstacle. You have to have legal systems set up and get rid of structural barriers, which we know are existing. Then you have to make it more accessible, and then you also have to, let's say, cultivate more awareness regarding this kind of technology. So it's just, the work is just an insight. What's the status quo, I would say, regarding this whole topic. So yeah, in that sense, thank you very much. Sorry for my fast, but